What's up, everybody? Welcome to Solana Weekly. This is your host, Thomas, and I want to thank you for joining in. Let's take a dive into the latest trends, use cases, and people behind the incredible growth of the Solana ecosystem. None of this is financial advice, but I'm hoping that all of this is alpha. Now let's get to the show.
We are here today with the soul brother himself. We've got Simon on. He's going to come on to tell us all about what he's building at SolanaID. He just arrived for Solana Accelerate in New York. Thanks for showing up. How you doing today, Simon?
I'm doing great, Thomas. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here, honestly, and to talk about myself or SolanaID or Soul Brothers or whatever I'm up to. I really appreciate the stage I'm getting to talk about these things. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to have you on. It seems like you've got a lot going on right now. I feel like there's like tons of excitement right now with Solana, with Accelerate going on. You just showing up. Like, what are the vibes so far? Did you just show up and go straight to the room?
I mean, honestly, I'm literally in the head office of Solana Labs, right? Like this is where Solana was born, I would say, or at least where right now a lot of the magic happens under the behind the curtains, let's say, right? Because Solana Labs is one of the companies right now. There's a few other, Ansa and so on. They're all kind of tied together that are building the base layer, right? The protocol. They're actively working on the foundation of the Solana blockchain. And it feels funny to be here, honestly. Like I walked in and there was this huge Solana logo above the check-in counter, and I was like, okay, is this real? But I kind of fit in here as well. I'm sitting here with a Solana shirt as well, so people can identify myself as someone that belongs here.
The shirt's amazing, and it's like an interesting crossover where we see all this stuff online all the time, right? Like our minds are all constantly seeing Solana all the time, but in the real world, I hardly ever see any of that, right? So it's probably like an interesting crossover, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That sounds good. And so what you're building out is SolanaID, right? And this kind of ties in a little bit with like digital identity, right? Like we're like, I don't know about you, but I'm like chronically online, right? Like, always kind of seeing what we're doing, and we build these online identities. And I always kind of struggle with it because it's like, how far does it go? Like I consider like I'm mostly like anonymous on a lot of my like social media and everything. But then there's the other side of that where it's like you kind of like build up a reputation online, right? Like, I've been, tinkering around on Solana since like, I don't know, it's like this show has been going since 2022, early 2021. And it's like, that's 3 or 4 years of, like building of, using different protocols. And it's like, what does that all amount to? So I feel like digital identity is a big thing. So I'm really excited to hear about what you're building and kind of want to hear your thoughts on digital identity.
It is, I mean, obviously something that keeps me up at night since a while now. We've been building an identity since more than 2 years now. Even before SolanaID. Yeah, there was like people that know us, SolanaID or my journey longer than a year. They know that the company used to be called DSID, and it is still the labs building SolanaID. So it's still on paper, you will still find that company existing. But it was a chain agnostic identity protocol with like cryptographic elements to it. Like it had a Web3 component, but it was not tied to a single particular blockchain. And we did a lot of research on various blockchain ecosystems, not at all on Solana, before we ended up at SolanaID. So there's quite of a backstory to what today is SolanaID. But SolanaID itself was born in pretty much 1 year ago, after the Colosseum Renaissance hackathon. So right now, as we're talking to us, the breakout just finished, the breakout hackathon, Colosseum, which is Solana's biggest hackathon usually, happens twice a year. And we took part in exactly 1 year ago, the Colosseum Renaissance. And that's when we did the pivot from DSID to SolanaID, and we rebranded the whole thing. But we've been identity builder since a while now. And we came into this industry with the mission of giving people the chance to leverage their digital footprint in a way that actually provides them value, right? It gives them something in return for their data and for their identity and for who they are in the virtual world. And that was the initial idea. And then we started to tinker on top of it and pivoting here and there. And now it's SolanaID.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's like 1 year ago in Solana. I think that's like the ideal time to get into Solana, right? Like that, like leading up to that, like meme coins
Yeah.
were probably like just picking up, but now it's
Exactly.
like Solana is the most used blockchain, by multiples now, right? So it's like this last year has been massive, right? Like tons of cases on it.
It has been, I think, a very loud year, let's say, on all levels. There has been so many things going on, good and bad, right? And in both directions, in crypto and especially on Solana. But if you look at the hard metrics, at volumes on chain, decentralized exchange trading volumes, accounts registered, active wallets, all these numbers that are usually, in my opinion, they're considered the vital signs of a blockchain ecosystem, right? And these vital signs of the Solana ecosystem, they have been very, very positive in the last 12 months. And I think that is partially the reason also why we and myself were able to break through Solana so quickly. Because as I said, I wasn't on Solana a year ago, right? And now I run a podcast. I'm leading the identity layer for Solana. I work with Foundation. I know a lot of people. I think it happened partially not only because I'm a genius. I'm not, like, I'm a normal man. I just know how to talk to people. I think that's my biggest skill, and that together with the acceleration of the Solana ecosystem, that helped us and me personally a lot to find a good foothold here.
Yeah. And it really shows in the protocol too. Like I was telling you earlier, it's like, it's very easy to sign up. Like you can add on as many wallets or many accounts as you can. So it does seem like you're really able to kind of bring everything together into one place, where that's not the case for Solana, right? Like, I have wallets all over, you have, I think that you can even connect like your email, your Google, like you can connect a lot of it into one place where, historically it's all just like separate and kind of a mess, right?
Yeah. And it's a fine line to walk, right? Because we always have the privacy extremists that say, but you cannot even link two wallets together. Like that's already a faux pas. And I get that. We get that, right? We are very privacy focused. Like our company, we have it's one of our core pillars is privacy first, and it will always be. But it comes below UX first, right? So we have our biggest, not obstacle, but maybe call it a goal. Our biggest goal is to make the user experience on the Solana ecosystem better by having a unified identity called SolanaID, right? And enable more use cases, give users more value, and so on. That's the main objective. Now, if we then on the second level have privacy, that comes after. Okay, so first we're going to opt for user experience, and then we're opting for privacy. Because the other way around, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You're going to, especially as an identity protocol, you are going to fail, and you did fail. Like a lot of companies broke because of that, because they thought they're going to reinvent the wheel and they're going to build new private systems for the internet. But then no one gave a shit about the actual privacy part of your solution, because it's like, we don't give a shit in Web 2. And we all have Facebook accounts, Google accounts. We have all these accounts from identity monopolies, right? They're providing you an identity, and they are holding all the data of your identity for you. And you cannot do anything against it, and you cannot even do anything with it, really, with that data, right? It belongs to them, and it's the biggest industry in Web 2. It's the biggest industry to monetize on that identity data, your personal data. It's literally printing the most billions of dollars, that industry, right? And where are we as consumers? So I'm starting to get into my rant, so I'm going to stop here and give you more time to ask questions.
No, I love it. I think there's a lot there, right? I mean, it's funny because Solana's not necessarily like the privacy focused blockchain, but there is still like elements of like, I want to be private. I don't want people to know my wallet. But if you're going privacy first on any sort of product, it's tough, right? Because you're really going to try to attract like only people that are really focused on privacy. And that's like, there's some Bitcoiners out there and like Zcash, right? Like they're not that big on Solana right now. That's not like the big one where, at least to me, it kind of seems like Solana's, there was a movement like a year or maybe a couple of years ago where everybody kind of started doxing on the timeline, right? They came out, they're like, we're not, cyber coders. We're not like, we don't need to hide our identities anymore. And I saw that, I was like, that's actually kind of cool. And Solana's kind of been the more like Web 2-ish version of crypto, in the sense that like, hey, we're not afraid to like necessarily show our identities or show our wallet addresses as much. But I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but it seems like Solana is kind of like on a different level than what I've seen with other blockchain ecosystems, right?
Where does it come from that people call Solana the consumer chain, right? Like, where does this title even come from? Who invented this? Was it Akshay? Like, he's walking around here right now, literally. Like, what was it? Was it marketing department of Solana, or was it the people? I think it was the people. Like, no one really draw that narrative out and said, okay, we're going to be the consumer chain. No, it just kind of happened as builders on Solana, kind of naturally went in a direction where they were like, okay, we need to optimize for user experience. We need to make simple apps. We need to abstract away as many blockchain components as possible. We need to create use case, and we need to build businesses and startups and not crypto token projects. Like, because no one really knows what that is anyway. Like, just be a normal startup, solve a problem for someone, and make revenue on the path there, right? And if you're using blockchain or not, that's up to you. But I think that was always the kind of mentality of a lot of the Solana builders. And then together, but still, I want to emphasize the point that Solana has so many extremely smart people on the tech level of things, not only here at Solana Labs and Ansa and the people that built the foundation, but also all the big protocols. They have a lot of very smart people tinkering on the cryptographic side of things. And we come up with a lot of innovative ideas as well on that layer, right?
Yeah.
So, and that combination, I think, is what made Solana so successful today. The focus on consumers and user experience and simple apps that you can use and enjoy, right? And the big apps like SolanaID, sure, we're small, right? Like, let's look at Jupiter. Like, Jupiter, literally, again, the team right sitting next to me right now outside here, and they are always thinking about, okay, how do we onboard users to crypto, right? How do you make it as easy as possible? And they come up with ideas, right? They just announced a universal send for Jupiter Mobile, where you can create a QR code and send that to your mom. And she doesn't need to know anything about crypto, no app installed, nothing. She can just scan the QR code, follow a few instructions, and she will receive crypto in her Jupiter wallet that she can install from the QR code. She doesn't need to do anything else. Just like scan the QR code, click a button, and click another button to send in the app, and she has Solana on her wallet, and you send crypto to her. Right. And that's how you onboard users, I think. And
100%. I mean, Jupiter's always done that. Like, if anybody asks me, like, all right, like, what do I do on Solana? It's like, just go to jupe.ag and make a swap. And like, that was a revolution. Like, when I first did that, I was like, oh my God, like, there is a great wallet that I can use. It happens in like a second, and the transaction costs nothing. Like, in the beginning, I saw that and I was like, why aren't more people using this? Like, then FTX kind of like happened to Solana, and then it was like the ETH. I feel like the ETH community really just like went after Solana by saying like, hey, they're the poor chain. It doesn't cost any money to transact on it. Like that's stupid. It's like, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, they're the only blockchain ecosystem where it's like, please use us, use us for as many transactions as you can. You're never going to run out of money on gas. Like, it just made so much sense. I was like, this is easy. I was like, all right, I'm all in. Like, this, it never made any sense to like use Ethereum when it costs like $50 to just make us like send money like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to anybody. Like, if your normal bank account did that, like, I'd call to argue the charges, right?
Of course not. Yeah. That's, I think we don't have to argue about this anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone understood by now, even the Ethereum community understood that ETH layer 1 is not used for transactions.
Yeah.
And I mean, they all the Ethereum community also got what they were, not what they deserved, but I mean, they did shoot a lot against Solana. And now Solana has been outperforming Ethereum a long time. So, it's a bit of karma. Obviously the shooting goes in both directions. So we also have a few people on Solana that are shooting towards the Ethereum community. I already give a shit, honestly, about these kind of fights. I'm here for the tech and for the use cases, and the rest is just drama and entertainment. That's cool. That's okay. We can do that a little bit. But Solana is just much more feasible for a lot of use cases that you just simply can't do on Ethereum.
Yeah. And so we're seeing that because that's how it was built out. We're seeing, millions of people using Solana all the time. And now you guys are essentially taking those users and you're giving them, a source of identity for them for, hey, these are some perks for your type of user. It seems like you really like DeFi. Why don't you check out these protocols? And I mean, that's useful data right there to understand like, all right, this, I keep a lot of money in DeFi. Like, why don't I explore what the best rates are for what I'm using it for? And that's really, really important information for the protocols, right? Like they're building a ton of, extremely technical, protocols that they're building out where, you don't always hear about what the best protocol to use for what you want to do is, right? So, in order to match users with builders, right? Like you need to kind of have a place where you can find them. And it seems kind of like that's what you're building towards.
It does, yeah. And I think I might be in a position where I can even simplify this more because I learned before crypto in my entrepreneur school, where whatever I did before crypto, I did a lot of entrepreneurial things. And I always learned you need to find the root problem of whatever you're trying to solve. Like if you have a product, your product usually solves the problem. Otherwise, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
If the problem you're solving can be, if you can ask, why is that problem? Like, why does that problem exist? And there's another reason below that, and you can do that again, and you can do that again. You'll find the root problem. And we did that at the beginning. We're like, okay, on the DApp side of things, DApps, decentralized applications. So all the projects built on Solana, like Jupiter and so on, exchanges, NFT platforms, games, and so on. A lot of projects. And we kind of ask ourselves the question, okay, they seem to struggle with user acquisition. Like it's really difficult for them to, like they always struggle in the marketing department. Like how do we acquire actually users? How do we get people to use our application? How do we spend money efficiently to get them? That's one thing they struggled with. And how do we retain them? How do we understand our own user base better to kind of make sure that we're, telling them the right things, showing them the right notifications, retaining them on our platform as well. And there's a few inefficiencies that are similar to these. And the root problem below that was that they don't have any idea who their users actually are.
Yeah.
Because crypto is so private. So the root problem is that you don't know anything about your users. So you're basically catering to strangers all the time. So our big problem statement back in the day when we did our pitch deck was DApps don't have users. They have strangers, right?
Yeah.
That they're catering to.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And we're like, okay, that's, that doesn't have to be because everything is so public on chain, technically, right? Technically, every wallet that connects to the app does have a strong track record, not only on your app, or a lot of apps on Solana, until the genesis of that wallet. And maybe that wallet is a human that owns 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 other wallets.
Yeah.
And it's still one individual, one identity, but a lot of different fragmented traces on chain that they have. And then we ask ourselves the question, okay, how can we help the apps to understand their user base better, or even the Solana user base, so every wallet on Solana, how can they understand these people better?
Yeah.
And the answer was we need to find, we need to give them an identity, those wallets, right? And that's what we're doing today. We're making wallets human readable, basically. So if you're building a DApp on Solana, you can query every single wallet on Solana. Doesn't need to be a holder, by the way. Doesn't need to be a Solana ID holder. Every single wallet on Solana, you can query through our protocol, and we return you a score and badges and different profile behavior data, basically, on that wallet. So you understand better if that wallet might be a potential customer for your application, right?
Yeah.
And if that user already has a Solana ID, that means they signed up to our application and they signed up to our ID, they minted the ID, they connected other wallets, maybe some off-chain data. Then the data you will receive as DApp from one single wallet of that account will give you the whole account data, right? From all the wallets, all his background and so on. You still don't have any idea who that person actually is. They won't know it's Thomas, right? Because SolanaID is inherently never doxing anyone. So we don't tell the DApp who that is, but they don't give a shit who you really are in real life. Like they don't need to know your name.
Yeah.
But they're interested in your behavior data, what kind of things you do on chain. Are you a potential heavy spender on their application? If we can answer in that question, this app is going to throw money at you to acquire you, and it's going to be a benefit for you. And we're making that link as a company.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, when you think about it, it's like you have way more information about the who is behind that wallet, right? Because you have their whole financial history of every transaction they made public on a blockchain, right? So, so making that data layer more accessible, more readable is going to be
easier to plug in, because it's a pain in the ass as well on Solana. Some people, most people don't know that, but like getting data in real time on every single wallet on Solana in history back to the beginning of that wallet is not super easy for apps. And if you're building an app on Solana and you're not into that data aggregation and data indexing, if that's not your core business, you need someone else to help you with that, right? You don't want to build that yourself. And that's what we can provide for them as well. And I think since we are an identity protocol and we have a B2C, so consumer side of things as well. So you yourself, Thomas, you signed up to SolanaID. So you went to our app, you minted your ID, you connected a few of your wallets and so on. Since we have that, we're also building a database of very valuable consumer data for these DApps that we can then help them to access. And it's on-chain, everything's on-chain anyway. We're just making it more accessible, more human readable for them and easier to understand. And the good thing is it creates a win-win-win scenario where we as a protocol win because we're making money at several parts of this whole system. Okay. The user wins because he now basically has a way to leverage his reputation, leverage his behavior on chain and his data backpack because he will get perks, he will get benefits on chain, on Solana. And the DApp will have a way to more efficiently target the right users that they actually care about. So it's this kind of win-win-win flywheel.
That's awesome. I love that. So it's almost like you're able to kind of like bring business concepts into like early teams where it's like a lot of these teams, like they're ridiculously smart and they're building incredible things, but like they're builders, right? Like they're not like the marketing side, they're not, out, talking in front of a bunch of people or you talking in front of a bunch of people all the time, especially early on, right? Like a team could be, 2, 5 people and all they care about is coding and making a really cool thing, right? Where that's not going to change the world. Right. There's several more steps. And the first is getting user feedback, keeping them seeing, what they can do, what they can keep building to continue that growth. Right.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. So one question I had, so what makes Solana so hard to read, right? Like that was like the joke early on was like Solana's a privacy chain because no one can read like the blockchain. But like, what is it that makes it so hard? Is it just that there's so much data to actually query?
Yeah, I think that must be that and the complexity of the fundamentals of Solana, including the programming language that we use even. Like, it is more difficult to build anything in Rust than in Solidity. Yeah. And it's also something a lot of people don't really think about. The language is more efficient, it's more proficient. As a programming language, you can do more things and it's much more robust as well once you did them. But to do them, it takes more time and it's more difficult to do, which is great in my opinion, because usually things that are harder to get but then last longer are better. So that's again a plus for Solana compared to other programming languages. But then obviously the chain is also pretty heavy in terms of the data that's on it. So you have to go through a lot of transactions, through a lot of wallets, through a lot of things to query data from the chain. So that makes it quite tough to get real-time data on Solana as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I feel like it's been like the analytics side has been improving a ton, right? So I mean, not even just like what you guys are building, like I've seen in general, like Solscan's great now, right? Like you can do pretty good research now with more basic of tools, right?
True. Yeah. We have, Solscan is good. We have like other explorers that are also performing pretty well. Solana FM and a few others, they all come in different shapes and forms. And then we also have great portfolio apps by now, like SAP Finance or Jupyter Portfolio, / SonarWatch. They just got acquired, or even Asset Dash and companies like this. They do a good job on kind of making sense of on-chain data as well.
Yeah. One that I tried recently. So Awaken Tax. They did tags. I was like running some numbers through their app and they have a really good portfolio tracker that's like stays pretty good up to date. So
nice. Yeah.
Worth mentioning.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I love them as well. They're actually really, really handy, these portfolio trackers.
Oh,
because a lot of stuff can get lost if you put liquidity here and stake something there. And it can get quite messy and you forget about things.
Yeah. Well, and say you put something in like a new protocol or something, it's not going to show up in any of those for a while, right?
Right. Yeah. So I have a few friends that literally found thousands of dollars. That they forgot about by using some of these portfolio trackers where you connect a few wallets and then you see all your open positions. And you're like, oh, I forgot about this one.
I always like make it the habit to like put whatever wallet I open into one of those trackers so that I don't forget about it.
Smart. Yeah, fine. Actually, maybe I should do that.
Sounds good. So one thing that I was thinking about earlier, so I just kind of keep thinking about like digital identity. It's like I kind of think that like the best of crypto comes from like being anonymous and like the anonymous side of it, like the hilarious NFT pictures on Twitter that just kind of like shit post all day long. And like, it's really funny, but also like the worst parts of crypto are the anonymous people too. Like, I feel like there's like, it's like the two extremes of it, right? Where like, I don't know, that's like all the scams. It's like a lot of it just ended up being a lot of the same people. Like a lot of the meme coin FUD was, you know, people launching and sniping coins and kind of being insiders on it when it was the same people. So it's like that side of it's bad, but like there's also the good side. So I don't know. I feel like there's like a balance, right?
Yep.
But I mean, I guess that's kind of the extremes, right? I feel like for the average person, like you, like if you're not, you know, out to scam people, like there's no real harm in, you know, interacting with, you know, your wallets and with people knowing, you know, exactly what you're doing, right?
That's and like I said, I think privacy is still to an extent an illusion of a few people that think that we can make it work 100% only, like 100% private.
Yeah.
And I'm talking again as someone that believes in the importance of privacy, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also a business guy that believes in fucking reality. And just look around. Like no one gives a shit about privacy, and we have to like even because in Web 2 we're so open with everything we do. So as long like that we made that realization as well at SolanaID. We had a moment where we were like, okay, if you don't give a big enough benefit, people will not use your application, especially if your user experience sucks.
Yeah.
And privacy usually adds an element of complexity, right? To give you an example, if you want to connect, for example, if we want to receive data from your Twitter account and add it to your SolanaID account, right? We can do that using zero knowledge proofs, which is a cryptographic method to make sure that we actually don't see and receive the actual data point, like your Twitter handle or the amount of followers you have or your engagement rates. We don't actually see these numbers. We just receive a cryptographic proof that says, yep, you know, like we put some inputs in the black box, then the black box did some tinkering, and then we put an output out of the black box, and we get that output, and it says verified, right? Green check mark, right? And that's enough for us to say, okay, this person has more than 10,000 followers. This person has a verified Twitter account. So we can do these things with zero knowledge proofs. That is 100% private. It's really great, right? And we do that right now. SolanaID, there's ZK proofs. We call it the data vault of SolanaID, where you can do these things. But as a consumer, and if you're listening to this, or even if yourself, Thomas, if you haven't checked it out yet, try to create such a ZK proof, and you will see that there's a bit of a friction involved, because first of all, you have to install some sort of third-party app. In our case, it's a browser extension. Without that browser extension, we cannot tap into your Twitter data and create that ZK proof, right? So we need either the browser extension or an app on your mobile phone where you scan the QR code and use the app, right? So you need one of these two, extension or app. Now, that is already big friction, in my opinion, right? For people that are normally used to sign in with Google or some shit where they click two buttons and they connected the account, right? So, and we'll have that, by the way, in our next patch. We will have a my social media section, my social section, where you can literally do old school Web 2 APIs, and you can connect your Twitter account, connect your Discord account, your Telegram account, and so on with a few clicks. Because I believe that people will do it because it is so easy. And they just value the simplicity higher than privacy. So they're like, okay, I'm just going to, use these APIs. If I then improve my score with SolanaID and I get some more benefits from the ecosystem, why not? Like, it's a quick fix. Let me do it. If we don't even give that option, we only give ZK proofs, I think we're losing people. And I want to test this out by having it both live as well. But it is my big assumption that people actually prefer the easy way, even if it's a bit less private, because they care about the outcome, the effect that it gives you, the benefit, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. That would be true for me. And, especially
for me too.
If I know, like, all right, I'm going to be getting a benefit from this and it's pretty easy to do. Here's my Telegram. It seems kind of like a no-brainer versus having to go through the much harder way to do it. So are you building those ZK proofs on Solana, or how does that work?
Yeah, we're working together actually with a company that's very efficient in zero knowledge technology, ZK Pass. They're an early investor in SolanaID, and we're working together with them on the ZK part, the ZK component of SolanaID. But yeah, we can literally, with the technology called ZK TLS, we can basically cryptographically verify any Web2 data behind a login gate. anything you can think of, we can build a schema for it. So it could be in your bank account, your social media account, your Steam account for your gaming histories, your badges, whatever, like everything. Technically, we could build a huge vault of ZK proofs. Right now, we only have like a few that you can actually use, a few social media accounts you can do, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, and so on. You can verify Discord roles in a similar manner. So that's all good. And in my opinion, it is a pretty nice flow, but you need that browser extension, and we lose people over there already that are like, oh, I don't want to install browser extension. And then they don't do it. So if we have both options for people to kind of pick and choose their, am I privacy first or am I UX first? Basically, if you get these two options, you can do both if you want to. It doesn't really bring anything, but we want to give the option as well.
Yeah, you really don't hear too much about ZK on Solana, right? Like it's a pretty big narrative of like ETH and L2s, right? Where it's like they're planning on doing a lot of scaling with it, where Solana's already scaled, so now we can just kind of like actually use it for like really cool use cases like this.
Right? True. And Solana is using it as well. There's ZK compression as well on the protocol layer. Yeah. So we do have that in the protocol. That form of zero knowledge proofing is more with the intention to make the chain more efficient and quicker and leaner, right, and in data. So that's good. And then in our case, the ZK use case that we're doing is more related to actual human data and profile data, right? It's less like ZK compression is more for code talking to code, right? And in our case, it's more code to human. So we're bringing that human element into it in a trustless fashion with ZK proofs.
So like with that, like, are you guys going to like expand on that side? Like, am I gonna be able to put my driver's license on there and like have that? Like that? It seems like that's not that far away from where you're at right now, right?
Not at all. Yeah, there's a few things we have to figure out here and there when it comes to more traditional identity documents. But we can definitely easily also verify driver licenses or identity documents like passports, national IDs, and so on. And at least have the ZK proofs that you own that ID, that you are above a certain age, that you're from a certain region. So these things can be part of your SolanaID account. And then whenever an app queries your wallet, they can at least get the green check mark. They still don't know who you are. They won't receive, even we won't have that data. But at least they can know that you're above 18 years or 21, and that you are not from the US. Maybe, there's a few data points that might be interesting for them to receive.
Yeah, I have a proposal that you guys should sell this to Coinbase for when they KYC their customers, so they don't just have a bunch of their data sitting around and then give it away to some people bribing them, right?
It just happened, right?
Yeah, I think it just happened where 1% of their users, they gave out like, I think like addresses, full names. I don't know if it was social security numbers, but like phone numbers, like the amount transacted, like it pretty bad. So like people are pretty scared about that, but essentially with, if you could have this ZK, have zero knowledge right there, you could have all that information completely opposite, like it wouldn't be there, right?
Exactly. Like that's the thing in Web 2 data structures and especially identity models, you always have the risk of theft, right? Because the data is there. It is with someone, right? If Google got hacked or if Apple gets hacked or if Coinbase gets hacked, or they didn't in that case, in the case of Coinbase, they didn't even get hacked. It was just a social engineering trick, right, that they did by, bribing the support somewhere in Asia, I think. So, like there's always a way to do it. But if the data doesn't even exist in a human readable form, if everything's encrypted, then they can do whatever they want. They won't get it, right? So that is a case for what we traditionally call self-sovereign identity, where you actually own the data of your ID or anything that belongs to it, or it is encrypted and you don't even, like, no one can even decrypt it without your allowance.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah. Something like that is needed. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've gotten probably like 10 notifications that my information's been leaked in a hack. Like I don't even know what happened. One time was like a hospital that a doctor that we went to one time. So, so like my information is definitely out there, there's
on the black market.
Yeah. So I feel like any sort of solution that's better than the current one needs to be implemented. So I'd be all for that.
Yeah. There's on that level, there's a multitude of big problems to solve, in my opinion, and they're all identity related. Which again makes it also very tough to build in an industry, because you want to solve 10 problems at once, right? And that's sometimes some founders actually fall into that trap. I saw it before as well, and that's why we kind of made the decision to very narrowly focus our use case right now, initially on the Solana ecosystem and on this kind of marketing narrative where we help the apps to find their target audience, and we help the target audience, which could be you, to get more data and more value for their data by getting some perks on Solana. So it's a very narrow kind of use case when it comes to identity. But this is our go-to-market strategy, as we're still a startup, right? And if we want to solve all these 10 huge problems of data theft and centralization of data with big data monopolies and so on, then we're going to probably run out of funds in 2 years and don't have a product.
That's the hard part, right? You gotta like really, you have to say yes to the things that really matter, and you have to say no to the maybes, right?
Yeah. And we kind of learned that, I think, to an extent. We still make mistakes, I'm 100% sure, when it comes to these decisions. But it was worse last year in 2023, where we did more R&D and exploration, and at least now we have a focus and kind of a North Star.
Yeah. One other thing that I really like too is like you can kind of like aggregate all of your wallets and all of your like identities into one place. Where like, I love domain names. Like I love SNS. I think they're cool, but they're kind of limited, right? Like you have a domain name for one of your wallets. Like something that I used to always have like one domain name per wallet, just like so that I could like mentally like know where it was and that I never sent it to the wrong address or something. But I never, like, I think of them as identities, I guess, but like there's so many of them that like it's not like a good digital and it's not like an encapsulating, it's not like a total identity, right?
Yeah. I'm big friends with SNS and also with all domains. So whatever I'm saying next, it's not against their company, but it's against the whole idea of calling domain services identity provider. I think that concept is still a bit misleading, and I know they do it, and and it's okay. They can know, they can know that I don't like it. This framing, because it is very limited. Like calling your on-chain domain name your identity is like a bit misleading, in my opinion, because this identity is so much more than making a public key human readable and transforming it into Thomas.sol, right? Like that is that's literally it, right? But this identity is who you are. It's not your public key into a human readable name. It's who are you on chain? What did you do? What's your track record? Your footprint? How do you behave on chain? What things do you like? That's your identity, and documents as well. Where are you from? Geography, like so many things. Yeah. Why domain names are literally just that, domain names, and I love that because it's simple. Yeah. And it's simple and clear. But we need a bit more when it comes to identity. So. We're still figuring out how we want to play the domain name game. We don't want to compete with SNS or all domains. Opposite, we want to work with them. So I think we might do a subdomain or something where you can create one domain that's linked to your whole SolanaID account, basically to all your wallets that you use. It's pretty simple for us to do that. It's not a big lift. It's not really technological complex. Because we're having all the wallets anyway already. Like there's something we could do in future as well as build a sign on with SolanaID kind of thing for apps where you click that and then you log in with your SolanaID built login. But then the app that you log in have all your account data. You don't have to, they know who you are based on all your wallets. That might give yourself some benefits in the application, things like this. For a simple example is a portfolio tracker. You only have to log in once within the portfolio tracker. Yeah, the portfolio tracker has all your identity loaded and gives you the full glimpse, right? That would be much easier for mass adoption, as people always say, than connecting one wallet and bundling, connecting your second one, copy pasting your public keys, whatever. Like, I don't know if that's
even for like taxes too. I got help with my taxes from this great guy Matt. What is it? Crypto Tax Sucks on Twitter, and. It happens every year. Like I went through, there's like 50,000 transactions and it's like, there's like 4 or 5 wallets that I forgot to put in. So then I have to go to him and, hey, I'm so sorry, man. Like I forgot these wallets. Like I created the ones to buy the dog coin and I forgot about it. You know, it's just like it's like the most ridiculous experience. Or like every year I got to do this and it's just getting worse and worse. But if I could just add that into my Solana ID, take that into a tax app, I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
we should,
like you should be able to travel from like one protocol to the next with a single sign-on. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and we thought about this already a little bit. It's not out there yet. We haven't, as I said earlier, we're very focused on one thing, and we have 10,000 ideas. One of these 10,000 ideas is a sign-in with Solana ID, kind of single sign-on experience on Solana, where we could simplify a lot of things. Maybe.
Yeah. I stay on the idea side and not the builder side, so I'll just like throw a bunch of random ideas.
That's the easy side, Thomas.
Yeah.
I've been there. It's much more fun. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably more fun actually building things out and like doing right. I just get to
I love brainstorming
about it, right?
Yeah. I love ideating as well.
Yeah. So 1 year into Solana ID, and you said that you've been actually building in this for about 3 years total.
Yeah, like 2. Let's call it 2.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So, or is it going to be, obviously it's Solana ID, so you're not going to like expand to other blockchains from Solana, right?
I mean, there's a future where it could happen. We could obviously bring the concept to other chains and white label it. That is because I got the question a lot from investors as well, right? When it comes to potential market sizing and so on. And do you want to limit yourself only to Solana? And my normal answer is always yes, willfully, because A, it gives us more focus and clarity because we have one ecosystem to conquer, and B, we are in the fastest expanding chain anyway. So I think our market is growing pretty quickly. So we're good for now. But looking into the future, if you're asking me, can Solana ID expand to other ecosystems? The answer is clearly yes. Because either we can white label Solana ID and bring it to another ecosystem if it's 2 silos, or we can also just actually bring Solana ID to other ecosystems and allow them to utilize the Solana ID on their blockchain, right? In their D app. So the decision for this product, kind of decision we have to make at some point, is not only ours, it's the market who decides this, because we need to see how is this playing out? What kind of blockchains are making it? Who's going to be out there? Are they going to be strictly siloed, or are there going to be very easy bridges in between them, where it's very efficient to use all of the chains together to some sort of extent? So there's still a lot of question marks when it comes to interoperability. And since we can answer these questions right now, for now, we're focusing very clearly and sharply on Solana.
Yeah. It seems like the direction in the future, like I've always said, like it's going to be a multi-chain future, but it's like, it's hard to say that with like looking around. It's like, where's the competition, right? Like
it is.
We kind of like Monad maybe will have some, but like nowhere near amount the same adoption as Solana. And it's like at a certain point, like I think that the tech will get pretty similar. Like I think they just announced that, Solana is going to make some significant changes to the infrastructure. It's going to like 100x the speed or something. So we'll see about that. But I think eventually the speed will like hit everything will be fast, and then it'll come down to, all right, like what are people actually doing on your chain? Like where are the businesses, where are the protocols? Why are people going to be going to any of these other chains other than Solana? So I don't, maybe there'll be something, right? Like there's always going to be something else, but I still feel like the majority of what's being done, like where the momentum is on Solana. So I think that's only, I mean, you can only imagine what the ecosystem is going to look like in 2-3 years, right?
100%. And I'm very biased answering that question. I'm literally sitting here in a Solana shirt. So who am I to talk about multi-chain future? But the good thing is that I am not a maxi per se, and I come from other blockchain ecosystems as well. And I see the full picture, and I still consume content from other chains because I want to stay up to date. So I believe that it's about network effects really at the end of the day. And you kind of touched on it when you said it's not about the tech only, it's also about where does the action happen, right? Yeah. And that's where we need network effects, because and the history already has proven that. Why is Ethereum still so dominant today? It's not for the tech. Like I think we can agree on that. Like they've been developed as an infrastructure 10 years ago. ages in blockchain terms.
Yeah.
Like in the last 2 years, we made significant progress on a lot of levels, and Ethereum has been around since more than 10 years now. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
You cannot tell me that they are the best tech out there. It's not. Like I said earlier, Solidity is not the best language to build smart contract platforms in my opinion, and other opinions as well. So why they're still around? Well, because they captured the largest amount of developers and consumers.
Okay.
Consumers can be anything, institutions, retail, whatever, everyone who provides money and liquidity, and other stakeholders like investors and whatever else is out there in the crypto world, right? They got a lot of these people aligned that have now a common stake in this ecosystem and a common interest in keeping Ethereum alive because they're already so invested in it, psychologically, emotionally, skill-wise, because they built their career on that platform. Like there's so many things, right?
Yeah.
And that's why they're still around and why they're so big.
Yeah.
And that's also why Solana is so big and why it will win, because we're the only other blockchain that made it that far. Next to the smart contract blockchain, next to Ethereum. The only one. All the others, they haven't crossed the chasm yet of kind of exponential growth and network effects. They're still kind of early adoption phase. Monad, Sui, some of these other chains. And they, at least they're new and kind of sexy. And then you have the legacy ones like Algorand and Avalanche and like some of these bigger ones.
Yeah.
They still have a lot of capital
They're
somehow.
they're still massive. Like Litecoin still around,
No idea what's happening.
Yeah.
But they just have a lot of money. But I don't think that this is where we're gonna change the world with, or the internet with these companies.
Yeah. It's crazy now. I'm kind of like seeing like the intersection between like the tech world and Solana, right? Where it's like there's like a lot of like there's like VCs that are coming on. They were pretty early to Solana, so they've been like talking about it for a while. And I feel like a lot of like the businesses now, it's like they're not just, I mean, a lot of them are startups, but they're like thinking like actual businesses now. It's not like, hey, come buy my NFT. It's like, hey, come check out this protocol. We're doing something that you couldn't do in traditional finance, right? Like the things that are being built right now, I feel like they're awesome. I feel like there's so much good stuff to be doing.
Oh man, yeah, 100%. It's an exciting time to be alive. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. All right, so we got to talk more about Solana ID. So you've got perks going on. So those are perks to users from companies. Is that right? So
Exactly right.
If you're like identified as like, hey, like you're a big leverage trader or margin trader, I think I saw something on there, like Flash Trade was advertising to me, probably a bad thing that they were coming after me. But but like they identified like, hey, like you've used Drift or you used Flash Trade before. Why don't you come on our protocol? Here's like a discount on fees, right?
Exactly. That's the idea, right? That's the whole narrative, is to make it easier for DApps to identify their target audience and then acquire them more efficiently, right?
Yeah.
And the good thing is, as a Solana ID holder, you are now putting a target on your back that says, hey, spend money on me. Spend money on trying to acquire me. Pay me for my attention, and maybe I will spend money with you, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of and it's still good for the app as well, because they get higher chances that you actually will spend money with them.
Yeah.
Because you are fitting their target profile, their target audience. And it's much more targeted for the DApps to use it that way, to use a data-driven way of marketing.
Yeah.
And then the user just gets more of the marketing budget of apps, right? So because I just want to make it much more efficient on Solana to advertise. Because right now the money is being thrown in some reward pools on some quest platforms, right? Like huge amounts going there, and then you have some huge bounties for some random campaigns where you need to create some content here, and it's all great, and we do it as well at SolanaID to an extent, right? But that can't be your only marketing kind of strategy for your application, because you're just throwing money against the wall and see what sticks, and then it kind of trickles through to a lot of people, and they get something from it. But 1% of the people that you actually pay right now with your marketing budget care about your protocol and will use it in the future.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest marketing inefficiency right now in crypto. It's exactly that. Like, you're just wasting money on the wrong people, right?
Yeah.
And if we don't get rid of that, we're literally scamming our investors, because we're using the money that people invest in our project for growth and for the vision that we told them, and we're giving it to some random people that don't give a shit about our product and just want to be incentivized for it.
Yeah.
So we kind of need to get rid of these inefficiencies to an extent. Otherwise, it is actually really bad for the whole ecosystem.
Yeah. I feel like there's like a good debate that I have about like, about airdrop farming, right? Like there's like the airdrop farmers that just go from project to project, trying to extract as much as possible. And
Yeah.
people make good money at doing that, right? And like the other side of that is like, I love checking out like the latest protocol and I'll use it. Like
Perfect.
if there's an airdrop that's like, that's cool. But like, if I still like the protocol, I'm still going to use it after, you know, where it's like, actually that was marketing dollars well spent because that's what attracted me to the site. Like, that's like how it should go. And like, a lot of these, it's like in early companies, like say you put $5,000, in a DeFi protocol, and it's only been just launched like a month ago. That's a risky business, right? Like you almost should get rewarded for doing that. But then, the other side of that is like everyone just sometimes people just get the airdrop and they just sell it right away and move on to the next one. So I don't know. There's like a balance there where it's like, maybe in a lot of those, I was like the 10% of the time that it worked. Right. Or, I don't know. I'm sure I've been on ones that, maybe I didn't end up liking the protocol for one reason or another or something, or it got hacked, something like that. But, there is kind of a balance there where it's like in crypto, you reward your early users. Right. And like it's almost like known. It's like if you are using a protocol pretty early or using it pretty heavily, like maybe you'll share in the benefits if they drop a token. Right. Like it's kind of assumed, but there's definitely a downside to that where it's like it can get predatory. Right.
Exactly. And if you can manage that, I think it can kill you. And it did probably kill a few apps already in the past, incentive campaigns like this. So bringing a bit more efficiency in that whole flow, I think is needed.
Yeah. I feel like it's a fine line with tokens too, where it's like everybody wants to have a token and, a lot of crypto protocols like want to just have a token to have a token, but say your token goes down, like it looks bad on like your business, right? Like if you're even though your protocol is running great, like say your numbers are going up, like, the total money that you have actually like locked in your protocol is expanding, but like your token's going down, like it's just a bad look, right? Like it's hard to get away from that if it's done wrong, right?
Yep. I can attest to that. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, you guys have a solid token, right?
We do, and it went down a lot. Due to mainly due to the liquidity issues we have on all altcoins. It's just not the best time to launch an altcoin right now. And we launched directly before the decline happened. So in December we launched last year.
Okay.
And we did a pretty good launch. We went up to like 70 mil FTV and had like a pretty well traded token for a while. And then especially after Trump launched this stupid meme coin, like then a lot of things kind of went downwards in the altcoin sector as well, and people pulled their liquidity out. Yeah. So we also had a pretty not a steep decline, but a long decline.
Yeah.
And are now highly undervalued without giving financial advice, but I believe that it is pretty undervalued token compared to what investors paid for us when they invested in private round. So yeah, and now we're tackling that problem on the token side of things, and it's tough because you have two products, right? You have your main product, which is SolanaID, and you have Solid, which is our token, and we need to cater to these both. And we focused a lot on SolanaID in the past couple of months because before that we focused a lot on Solid because it was pre-TG. So the only thing you do is talk about your token for like 2-3 months. Then your token is out and you just want to ship your product finally. So you build your product, and then you have 3 months of product building. Then we ship SolanaID, but then the token is down. So now we're a small team.
It's a constant battle.
We're a small team, but we have some good plans for the token as well, and I believe it is still a superpower to have a token live as a crypto company, and you should utilize it.
Yeah, I think so too. I want to ask like what you're going to be doing with the token, but I know you can't talk about that.
Not in depth.
That sounds good. So yeah, the Trump launched his meme coin. It just like tanked everything.
Yeah.
But he also like the flip side of that is like all of his like regulation decisions are incredibly pro crypto. Like he's got like the crypto czar and pretty high up. Like a stablecoin bill might get passed relatively soon. Like I feel like there's all this like pro crypto news. So like I'm hoping that it keeps it going. Are you guys like does that affect your business at all with like lighter regulations, or is that or what do you guys think about that?
I mean, it would be nice for us to have lighter regulation, if, for example, now here in the US, because we would see, I think, more innovation coming out again in crypto, because a lot of founders got distracted from regulatory problems and legal lawsuits and whatever in the past 2 years. So having something like the opposite of what we called Operation Choke Point, which was the beating down of the crypto sector from institutions and the government, and having opposite of that will help Solana to thrive as an ecosystem, and Solana ID is catering to this ecosystem. So obviously, as a consequence, our business will also flourish more. We are at the end of the day, our company is a bet on Solana, right? Solana ID is a bet on Solana, and Solana is a bet on crypto. So, it is all intertwined and connected. And I believe that overall, it is good for us right now. What's happening with better regulations in the US and more focus on it? It's very good. It's gonna pump our backs as well, so that's great for crypto, right? If that happens. But I'm more excited about the acceleration of the innovation actually that I believe is taking place right now already, and more in the future.
Yeah, I was telling my wife this the other day, but I think Solana is the bet that crypto thrives, and I feel like it's like Solana has the most to win from all these lighter regulations, because like a lot of like the innovation was kind of like being cut off because like you have no access to a bank account if you're a crypto company in the US. It sucks. Like, it was basically building in a gray area where a lot of teams were going overseas and they were going through like all the stuff that they didn't need to do. Where now, and I mean, even Solana was being called a security in a lot of those, of the lawsuits that they had against, I think it was against Coinbase and a couple others. But once that got pulled, I feel like that was huge for Solana. And now it's kind of like, all right, like companies do what you want, crypto companies build here in the US. So I'm excited to see, like, I think this Accelerate whole conference, I think it's going to be big, right? Like I'm excited to see what comes of it. I mean, obviously companies have been building, across the world on Solana. Solana is like way more like international than I ever thought it would be. But but I mean, a lot of those companies are in the US. In the US, there is like a lot more like, I don't know, an ecosystem of builders, right?
Yeah, it's still, I mean, we don't have to talk about what US has what stance the US has in the world when it comes to just capital formation and company building. So obviously it has a huge impact on the industry. And Solana is a US company, right? At the end of the day, that's the roots of Solana Labs are New York, right? They are USA.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that sounds good. What else do you guys have coming up soon? Any new releases that we need to keep track of, or when? Let's tell the users how to get there, I guess. Right?
Yeah. I mean, firstly, if people don't know about SolanaID yet, then I think app.solana.id is a good place to start. So if you are on app.solana.id, you can sign up, and it takes like 2 minutes to kind of receive your solid score, which is our like the core of everything. It bundles together everything of your wallet into one meaningful score. The score puts you in a tier. The better the tier, the more perks you get, and then you get badges as well. And the more badges you have, the more chances you will have in future to get more perks from partners as well, because they will also target by badges. So definitely, if you're curious about your Solana ID and your solid score and the badges you have, then head over to the application, sign up to it, and you can bundle your wallets to increase your chances to get a better score. When it comes to next steps for us, we do have something bigger coming up this week, obviously, as everyone is announcing something, doing Accelerate. We also are waiting for a big announcement from Solana Foundation that includes us as well in the process. So Solana ID will have we have built something in the past couple of weeks and months, and Foundation has been involved. So we will talk about this here during this week, something a bit separate to the current product as it stands, but very relevant for the for the broader Solana ecosystem when it comes to technology advancements that are identity related. So that's coming up, and then we have another thing coming that we're talking about it here and there in the Solid Talks. So we have weekly community calls. We call them Solid Talks. They are Saturdays, 3 p.m. UTC. So the most alpha you can get is over there. I can only mention what we've mentioned already, which is that we're building something called the SolanaID Display Network. And it's a network of display partners that will acknowledge that you are a SolanaID holder and they will show you perks directly on their page. So you don't have to go to app.solana.id. You can literally just log into their page. They will acknowledge you have an ID and they will show you some benefit. So you will literally, the idea is you will navigate through the Solana ecosystem and there will be perks waiting for you in every corner if you're a Solana ID holder. And so that's the pitch.
So cool.
And that's something we have it ready. It's going to come as well in the next few weeks. So a bit of moving pieces that we need to arrange, but it's coming.
Oh, that sounds good. It's like you show up to the casino and they just give you rewards for showing up, right? Like a loyalty member.
Kind of, yeah.
Not all of them are casinos, but some of them, right?
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. So releasing something with Solana Labs too this week. I'm excited to see it. Yeah, man, I really appreciate your time. It was great to meet you. I hope to one day be a guest on the Soul Brothers podcast.
Oh man, yeah.
But,
Exactly. Yeah, we can do that.
But yeah, no, I love hearing what you're building. I think it's great for the ecosystem. I think it's like the identity layer on Solana it just sounds great. I think it's a cool product and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'll keep an eye out for what you're building and see what you're releasing this week.
Love it. Thomas, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure to talk.
Yeah, it was great talking. Now enjoy your time out there in New York.
Thank you, sir. Will do.
All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Solana Weekly. Once again, this is Thomas Bahamas, and I have one final ask for you guys. If you could, please subscribe on whatever player you're listening to. You could leave a review. That would be amazing. If you want to shill me your bags, work for them. But yeah, really appreciate it. And as always, this is not financial advice, but I want you guys to accelerate, move forward, and let's get this bag. I'll catch you guys next week.